There are 18 Democrats officially running for president so far. Pete Buttigieg, the young mayor of South Bend, Indiana, would make it 19. A lot of things make his resume stand out. He served in Afghanistan and is a veteran of the U.S. Navy. He graduated from Harvard and was a Rhodes Scholar. He's also gay, and his remarks on that topic in a speech on Sunday just might have the power to resonate beyond that event, not unlike Barack Obama's now famous speech on race when he was a candidate. Pete Buttigieg was passionate, he got deeply personal, and as you'll see toward the end, the remarks became pointed at a former governor of Indiana, now Vice President Mike Pence.
When I was younger, I would have done anything to not be gay. If you had offered me a pill to make me straight, I would have swallowed it before you had time to give me a sip of water. It was a hard thing to think about now. It's hard to face the truth that there were times in my life when if you had shown me exactly what it was inside me that made me gay, I would have cut it out with a knife. People talk about things like marriage equality as a moral issue. And it is certainly a moral issue as far as I'm concerned. It's a moral issue because being married to Chasten has made me a better human being. Because it has made me more compassionate, more understanding, more self-aware, and more decent. My marriage to Chasten has made me a better man. And yes, Mr. Vice President, it has moved me closer to God. Speaking only for myself, I can tell you that if me being gay was a choice, it was a choice that was made far, far above my pay grade. And that's the thing I wish the Mike Pences of the world would understand. That if you got a problem with who I am, your problem is not with me. Your quarrel, sir, is with my Creator.
Pete Buttigieg has not announced his candidacy, but his campaign has already raised $7 million. And he started telling supporters to expect an announcement of some big news this coming Sunday.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.